Hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Stick with us for a few seconds and we'll tell you how we think Forrest Fenn will know the treasure has been found.
And we're back. So we're talking about how Forrest will know the treasure's been found. And apparently he's not psychic, so how will he know?
I actually believe there's some karmic component to all of this, a disturbance in the force, if you will, for our Yoda Fenn. But that's something that I can't substantiate with any kind of evidence. I have a feeling he'll know when the treasure's been found, even if nothing else happens. But I think there's, based on what we know about what Forrest has done already, there's some indications that he'll eventually find out. Now, this is all, of course, dependent upon whether or not Forrest is still living when the treasure is found. Mm-hmm. So after, if it were to be found after his passing, it's not going to make any difference anyway. And I think it's going to be a lot easier for it not to be publicized if it happens after his death. So I think these are the options that we have. And I think a lot of it is dependent upon Forrest's perception of human nature. And that is, he believes that whoever finds the treasure will want to be recognized for the find. And that is very much in the way of human nature. People do like to be thought fondly about. And when you find a big treasure like that, you look for, or you hope for, positive publicity. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, there's those of us that think of all the bad possible things that could happen to you. So
sure, or you could write a book. You could do the talk show circuit. So you might be able to even make money off just the fact that you did find it.
The only thing that concerns me is that there are a lot of people out there that are searching for this treasure, some of whom may likely believe that they're entitled to its ownership. And I think it puts you at risk. So the whole publicity thing, I want the publicity, I want the fame, and I want the fortune. It does bother me because I think you have to consider the possibility. I don't remember if I've made this up or I heard Forrest said it. I'm sure one of our viewers can tell us. But I think Forrest at one time said, if you find the treasure, think about it for 30 days before you even make any announcement. Put it away and just think about it. I'm sure he doesn't mean put it away under your bed, but put it away in a safe deposit box or in a vault and think about it for 30 days before you do anything. And I think that's wise, or what does he say? Sage advice. So that's kind of option number one. The finder will say something. Mm-hmm. Option number two is the finder will remain anonymous for a length of time determined by the finder. But he'll do as Forrest requested at Moby Dickens, where he says, just return my little bracelet to me. Let's play that clip. This was at Moby Dickens, at the Moby Dickens bookshop in Taos back in November of 2013.
Is there anything in the chest you would like back?
Is there anything in the chest that I want back? Yeah, I want my little bracelet back. And I'm glad you asked that question. Her name is M-A-C-I. Well, anyway, I've had about 35 men or people send me an email that says, I found your treasure. I'm looking at it. Of course, I don't believe it, but I write them back and say, well, congratulations. I said, will you sell me my bracelet back? And they say, what bracelet? And this one guy said that to me, that he had my treasure chest. I said, well, I'm interested, sir. Did the hot water affect the patina on the treasure chest any? He said, thank you, and hung up. He thought I had given him a clue, and he's going to go out and look in all the hot water up and down the Rocky Mountain. People, everybody has their own gig. I keep saying that, but I believe it.
So he actually said he'd buy the bracelet back.
He did, and again, I think again what he's counting on is an individual's greed, thinking that they'll be able to, ask whatever they want for the bracelet. It has the interesting history of Richard Wetherell, and if you listen to the whole story, if you know Wetherell's story, I'm not sure you want to keep the bracelet anyway, because it's not. I mean, yes, he did find Mesa Verde, but when you realize his Wetherell's history. And how he died, you go like, I'm not sure I want to own this bracelet anyway. But I think Forrest is hoping that someone will be kind enough and easy enough on their thinking to return the bracelet to him. And he indicates that it doesn't have any other, it doesn't have an intrinsic value. It's a little bit of silver and some turquoise beads. I think he estimated it being worth, $300 or so. But then it is, does have the history of Fenn and Wetherell and the found beads, et cetera, et cetera. So there might be something more valuable than that. But it was important enough for him to spend a few minutes talking about it at Moby Dickens. Mm-hmm. So then option number 3 is, as you suggested, artifacts will start appearing on the market.
Right. And with Fenn's history as a gallery owner, he may have a lot of contacts out there who are having their feelers out for if some particular piece comes up for sale. He might even have an open bid out with one of the auction houses under his own name or an assumed name, so that as soon as something came up, he would be notified.
I think there are items in there, the gold dust, some of the gold nuggets, that you could probably dispose of without anybody noticing. Even the gold coins for something, the $10 U.S. gold coins, you could walk into a pawn shop and exchange those for cash, and nobody's going to make a big deal of it. Once you get into those big nuggets and some of the ancient artifacts, the jewelry and the bracelets, people are going to notice. And Fenn is well known in the community that was raided back in 2009 by the FBI and the BLM, and who were looking for people that had these artifacts. But any gallery owner, any artifacts, especially artifacts gallery owner, is going to know that that it came from the treasure chest. So it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get rid of it without somebody noticing that's what you're getting rid of. And I think there is probably less value over the length of time, over your length of time with the treasure. There's less value to doing it that way than to make it public. Because my sense is you could make it public and somebody could make an offer. You know how the world is. Somebody wants the treasure more than you. They might make an offer that is worth far more than the intrinsic value of the treasure. And then you have to make up your mind whether or not that's the price you're willing to take.
And then you could still do the book and tour and
exactly
all of that.
You still found it,
Interviews
right?
Yeah, people want to know, how did you find it? Where was it?
Yeah,
there's a lot of story there.
I thought it was interesting when we were at the Lure. One of the people in the audience asked Forrest, or suggested to him. He started by saying that if he and his children found their treasure, they were planning to donate it to a museum. And there is a benefit to that because there's a tax break. If the museum was indeed a nonprofit organization, you could take a tax break amortized over several years to get a tax benefit from it. But you would get nowhere near. You would have to get them to agree to your estimation of the value, the intrinsic value, in order to get the tax benefit. So yeah, there's some, but it's not. You're not going to see cash in your pocket. You're going to see a tax deduction, basically, which could or might help you over the long term. So. But I think you're right here. I think if artifacts suddenly appear on that artifact market, somebody's going to notice, and they're going to inform him that that those items have shown up on the market. The last one is the most interesting to me, and the one that I believe has the most potential, because I think he really thought about this. And that is, he's put something else in the chest besides the bracelet that would indicate some sense of value if you were to inform him that or not inform him, but take an action that would inform him that the treasure has been found. And we all recall, of course, that he's put an olive jar in the chest, and the olive jar, we already know it has his biography and some of the hair off his head. But it's there, and that means he could put something else in there. And in the interview he did in 2012 with Everything Is Stories, the first thing he did was this, where he makes it really obvious.
There's something that I don't know whether it's in the treasure chest or not. It was a crazy idea, but going back to the question that you asked earlier, did I want to know if somebody found a treasure chest? So I said, yeah, I do. One reason is so people won't be spending all their money looking for something that isn't there anymore. So I put an IOU. I wrote it out an IOU. Take this IOU to my bank in Santa Fe and collect $100,000. I figured for $100,000, the guy that found the treasure chest would not want to keep it secret anymore. So now the IRS is getting the act, and everybody knows that, if somebody finds it 1,000 years from now, my bank won't be there, and there'll be no money in the account, even if they did. So I think I took that IOU out, but I don't remember whether I did or not. It's in there in spirit.
So $100,000 IOU, take it to the Santa Fe Bank and get your money, and then Forrest knows that you have the treasure.
Yeah, it was paid
for
off.
real.
Yeah, effectively, it could be a cashier's check, or it could be, it's very unlikely it's a handwritten IOU.
Right.
But it could be a formal document with an infinite life, because one of the problems with cashier's checks is they're only good for 90 days. Mm-hmm. So he's got to figure out a way to accomplish that. But I like the way he says it, because it reminds me of those things when your parents tell you something. They tell you that, I can't think of anything in particular, but they tell you something, and then they realize, I shouldn't have told you that. Mm. So they tell you, oh, I was just playing with you. I was making that up. And that's what it sounds like to me when he says that. He says it, and then he goes like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Mm. And then he kind of takes it back with the, gosh, I'm not actually sure if I remember that. But then later on in the same interview, he says this.
There's another thing that I put in the chest that I've not told anybody about, and I'm saving it for the person that finds the treasure chest. In other words, this is not something that I put together in an afternoon, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it.
So I think that's something that detectives do. Especially, I've seen it in movies and stories where you hold a piece of evidence back so that the perpetrator of the crime is the only one that knows that piece of evidence exists. So then you know that it's not a copycat or somebody claiming that they did this when actually they didn't do it, because they don't know about that one piece of evidence that was held back. So he's saying he put something in the chest that only the finder will know about. Okay.
And I think his logic is good. I think he wants to know, and he wants the world to know, that the treasure has been found, so people aren't spending time and money looking for a treasure that is no longer available to them. And I think that's fair. Again, I have no idea whether or not all of this will happen within Fenn's lifetime. It would be nice for him if it did, but I think it's perfectly acceptable to him that it is not found in his lifetime. I think over all of these things, Fenn is counting on two things. Number one, he's counting on the finder's, I was going to say greed, but that's a hard word, desire for fame and or fortune. Mm-hmm. Because the finder will want to do that. And I think he's, on more than one occasion, he's said the people that are looking for this treasure are the kind of people that want to be recognized for finding this treasure. And I think that's pretty much right. I think for most of us, if you're looking for the treasure, there's a good chance you want to be able to say, hey, I found it. Now, what you do after that with it, and maybe we'll have a show one of these times on what our plans are when we find the treasure.
Well, I think there has been a lot of speculation lately that, the treasure's already been found. We've seen the hole where it was supposed to be, and many people have said, I knew exactly where it was, and when I went to look for it, it was already gone. I think that's become a cliche. It's been said so often. So people are very interested in how will we know if the treasure is found. And we do have that one interview that we've heard Forrest say that if the treasure is found and he knows about it, then he'll let people know to stop looking, so they're not spending their time and their money looking for something that's not there.
Which he will care about right up until his passing. After that, he doesn't care. Maybe that's a bad way to put it, but
Well, he can't do anything about it
right.
at that point.
There's nothing he can do about it. But I think his heart, if you will, is in the right place. He doesn't want people spending a lot of time and money and frustrating themselves over searching for a treasure that no longer exists. So I think he would do that. I think the moment he found out, he would announce it to the world. And as the finder of the treasure, that's one of the risks you take, because you know the minute you tell Forrest Fenn or indicate to Forrest Fenn with some sense of evidence other than, hey, I found or went looking for it, it's not there, or I found it, you've got to have some evidence.
Right.
And I think once you have that evidence, he's going to announce that to the world. And so...
or at least to the search community.
Right. So they're not spending that amount of time. And he has a lot of ways to do that. I also think that the other thing that he's counting on is goes back to his, I'm not sure it's a rule, but, two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. And I think what Fenn knows about human nature, aside from the desire for fame and fortune, is that it's very difficult for more than one person to keep a secret unless it is only one person. And that's really hard, because sooner or later you're going to have to share that with someone, right?
What are you going to do? Just keep it under the bed because you
exactly.
looked that hard for something and then you're just going to hide it away?
Yeah. There's no benefit to you or anyone, any finder of the treasure, taking it and placing it under their bed and letting it stay there until their passing. Those are we think the options. We think the last one probably has the most potential. That is, there is something in that box that would
Be a call to
inspire.
action.
Yeah, exactly. A sales call to action that would inspire the finder to one way or the other let Fenn know that he's found his treasure.
So what's up for next week?
Next week, we're going to go back to a favorite topic of everybody, where warm waters halt. But we've got a new take on it. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the 4 dimensions of Fenn's poem, the 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. And so I went back and took my own advice and looked at where warm waters halt from the perspective of time. And I think I've found something. And I think I've got the quotes from Fenn to support my findings. So
All right.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, well, we thank you so much for watching today, and tune in again next week for more fun. And for Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye-bye.